Hey guys, welcome to tutorial number 2. We're going to learn about if statements today. So hopefully some of you guys will be able to master this by the end of this tutorial. If statements, we're going to learn about indentations. Indentations is very important. This is something that Python programming has. A lot of other programming languages have this as well. We're going to learn about operators as well. And that's something that's quite useful, looking at greater than, less than. Now let's just go reflect back on previous lesson on tutorial number 1. Before you do that, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's very important that you do that. Then I could produce more videos like this. Okay, so oh yeah, as you know, I'm an Apple today. You're gonna have to guess what I'm gonna be in the next one. Right. Okay. So remember we had inputs. So we had variables. So let's start with variable 1, and we could store that in any. We could store a value in there. Anything that we type in. So for example, input. How are you? We need to have the speech marks in there. How are you? Okay, like this. And then we close the speech marks, and then we close the bracket. Now when we run this, remember it's Control F5, press save, or F5 if you like. It should end up asking me how are you. So let me drag this across. That's quite useful. Right, so you got a split window here. We've got our area where we program on this side, and then we've got where the test of the shell is. Okay, so how are you? I'm going to say good. Now obviously it's not well programmed here. You should have really a space there. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And nothing happens. Okay, it doesn't crash or anything. So let's just fix that a little bit. Put a space in there. Put a question mark in there, and then obviously space. And then we want to test out what they put in. So this is where the if statement comes in. Now, for example, if I said if, as if like if something, if the condition is true. So if the person types in if var1, remember we store it in var1. So var1 is here, var1 there, and then you have to do double equals. Now this is something quite different from the single equal. Now the single equals for assignment, when we're assigning a value to a variable, and the double equals means it's a comparison. So we're going to compare. If var1 equals good, we're going to print out something. So we need a double colon. So here is a double colon. This is very important. Now this is where the indentation comes in. If you press enter straight after that, you will notice the cursor goes just slightly ahead of this. Now this indentation means that whatever comes up here is part of this if statement. So I'm just going to type in print. I can see it's slightly forward, it's slightly indented. I'm going to turn around and say, yeah, glad to hear that. Glad to hear that you are good. Hear that. Okay. And then remember, we have to close the speech marks and close the bracket. Now let's try this out. Control F5 or F5 for some of you guys. Press enter. Right. Okay. So how are you? And I'm going to type in good. Now we should see a response because good here does equal to good there. Okay. And I press enter. Glad to hear that. Now let's just change it slightly. I'm going to run this again. Now this time what happens if I type in space good? Now what the program does is, it picks up every little thing. So it will literally pick up that little space that I've typed in, and it's not going to do anything. It's not going to respond. No, because it doesn't really match. Now what you want to do, you want to have an else in there. So if the person types in anything other than good, we're gonna have like, oh, sorry to hear that. Okay, so let's just have a look how we do that. Now here you can see I'm still indented. Need to go back slightly and type in else. Okay, something like that. So if bar equals good, we're gonna have glad to hear it. Else double colon. We need to try this out as well, and we're gonna print out this time. Sorry to hear that. Okay, so let's have a look at that. And no, don't forget to close the speech marks and then close the bracket. Right, so let's give that a go. So let's run that. Control F5 or F5. Then you can see how are you? It's asking how are you doing. I'm gonna type in space. Well, let's just type in anything bad. So it should give me sorry to hear that. Okay, so as you can see down here, sorry to hear that. Now like I said, anything that doesn't equal to this, gonna obviously put out something completely. They'll literally write out that second little sentence there. Now, one of the things that you can do, you can actually do some maths with this. So, for example, if we keep the variable the same, you can call a variable whatever you like, as long as it's meaningful. Let's just imagine we're doing a quiz. So let's just say, what is 5 times 5? Okay, question mark there. And then if, now we have to make sure that this is the same variable name, so copy and paste it in here. So if answer this time equals 25. So hopefully you guys know that 25 times 5 is 25. Then we could turn around and say to the person, correct, right? So we know that's, you know, can be only one answer. And then obviously if they get it wrong, if it's anything other than 25, which it can't be, it's going to be wrong. It's going to answer, oh, we'll go back to school. Right, something like that. Back to school. Okay. Cool. Okay, so, and it's still in the, it's in the quotations in bracket as well. So let's just go back slightly. Let's run this again. F5. Okay. Right, so it's asking me what's 5 times 5. So if I literally go down here, I type in 25, it should give me correct. Okay. Now, there's something here that you'll notice is that it's got a speech mark around that. Now, if you, I know I said in the last tutorial that there's different types of variables. Now, that is known as an integer, so without the quotations. So now, it will technically be wrong because whenever we type in something, it's gonna assume it's a string. So let's run this again. You'll see it actually ends up saying it's wrong. So what's 5 times 5? Go down here, type in 25. Now this input that I put in is actually the computer is taking it in as a string, and this up here is an integer. So it should technically say wrong or go back to school, which I did get it right. So this, in this instance, you need to make sure that you put in here 25. Now there is a way around this. It's going a bit ahead, but we'll learn about this later on. It's this thing called int. So whatever we type in, it converts it to an integer. We need to put double brackets at the back as well because it has its own bracket. And this time, if we put 25, this is getting a little bit ahead. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but that's fine. It's good to know. So if I run this time, F5, that's okay. So now whatever I type in, it's going to convert that into an integer. So 25, it should say correct. So that's brilliant. That's excellent to see. Right, another thing that we need to be aware of is this something called else if. So let's just remove all of this. We're going to make it like possible answers. Okay, so let's just turn around and say, how you doing? Maybe that'll be right. Okay, so let's just say, how are you? Just for example's sake, how are you? Right, so now this time, if answer, and we need to have speech marks because it's going to be text import, say I'm good, and then close that. Now this time, we're going to have this, okay, not correct, we're going to say great, so the person responds great. Now we need to learn about this else if, okay, so else if, so if they put in anything other than good as well, so it's called else if like this, and then we have another condition. So again, just copy, paste. Always learn to copy and paste. It's really important in programming. You know this is, there's no syntax errors in that. So if answer equals fine, which is a fair answer as well, we'll copy that as well. I'll put that down there. See the indentations I've kicked in here. So for the else if, there's indentation for that. So instead, when they turn around and say fine, good to hear maybe, and then if they turn around and say anything other than good or fine, we're gonna turn around and say, oh, sorry to hear. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's run this. Control F5, give it a run. Okay, so how are you? Now, like I said, if I type in good, it should work. Great. So look, you can see that it's literally giving me that one. And run it again. Demonstrate quickly how to run it from here. One module. So this time I'm gonna type in fine. See, it's here. From here. It should say good to hear. It should say that. So let's hope that. Enter. Good to hear. Now let's type in anything other than good or fine, and we should get this output here. Okay, so let's give this a go. Run this again. Right, so let's just turn around and say not happy. I don't know, something's happened. You see this color has changed because that's actually a reserved word, but you could type in anything here. So let's type that in. Sorry to hear that. Now what we're going to learn about now is the different operators. With different operators you would get obviously these are the operators. You've got equals, you've got greater than, you've got less than, and there's another one that does not equal to, which is exclamation mark and equal. So that's something that is really useful when it comes to doing some program. Now let's just let's just create a variable. Score equals input. Remember we learned this before. we need to actually convert this into an integer. So this is quite important. I'm glad we actually learned about this right now actually. So input, input, open bracket, speech mark, score. Okay, so whatever the score was, let's just say it's a percentage. So the person enters the score, mark in there, space. Okay, and then if we turn around and say if score is greater than 90, so let's just say 90%, for example. Remember, we want to do double colon, print out. I don't know why it's gone all the way over there. So yeah, print outstanding. Okay, so the person got an outstanding score, right? Okay, so now we're gonna say if score again. Oh, you know what? The best thing to do is just to copy this. Copy, control, copy, then paste it down here. So if score is greater than 80, and then remove that. You could even turn around and say else if actually. So else like that if score is greater. Not bad. Not bad. And let's just do one more. And then copy that down here. Remember the indentations, put that back a little bit. I think that one's fine. So it's greater than 50. Oops, how am I changing it? Greater than 50. We're gonna say okay. It's okay, right? And then we want to end that off with anything less than that. Let's just hope this works actually. Anything less than that, again, is indented. Print. We need to retake. Okay, so let's just imagine this. Let's hope it works. Trial and error in coding, I'm afraid. So let's run this. Here we go. That's okay. Oh, we've got invalid syntax. Let's have a look. I've done wrong here. Okay, look. This is something, again, you're gonna have to get used to it. I've got one bracket for the input, and I've got the end of that bracket, and I haven't got an end bracket for that. So again, sometimes you would not notice that. Let's just run that again. 5. So right, so let's type in the score. So let's just say 95. Outstanding, that seems to work. And then run it again. Oh, run on this side. Run again. So let's just turn around and say 85. Hope this works. Not bad. And then if we type in 55 or something, go back here. 55. It's okay. And then finally, if we run it one more time, this time anything other than those kind of values, so let's just say they get 40%. I've just typed in 40. Need to retake. And as you can see, this is how to use the if statement. You got elif, you got the else. Remember, this is the last kind of other than whatever the condition is. We spoke about indentation. We'll learn more about indentation in Python. Indentation is very, very important. If I remove this, for example, you're gonna get an error. So if I literally run this now, it should say unexpected an indent block. So you would know that an indent needs to be there. I'll just put that in like so. If I was to add that indent all of that, now what happens, that elif is part of this elif now. So this is quite important that you understand this indentation. And obviously we'll learn about operators. You've got greater than, you've got less than, so you could turn around, put it like that. Okay, so look out for the next video. We'll be moving on to looking at different kind of loops, and hopefully we'll be learning more and more and getting better at it. See you soon.